has Dylan Jones made the biggest progression in your mind in this time here from what you've seen this camp?
I think, first of all, his decision-making. He's done a really nice job when he's got the ball in his hands. He's grown his entire knowledge of the offense. He's starting to really understand defensive structure, really good communication with the offensive line, his physicality. He's grown with his pass protection. So I really think that he's improved in every area of his game, and I'm really pleased with where he's at.
Coach, obviously there's no shortage of talent in the room. How have you seen those guys continue to push each other as we go through the fall?
Well, in our program, we talk about iron sharpens iron, and, they are really, really good kids. They're really tough. They're very competitive. They push each other every day. They hold each other accountable to what the standard of our program is. And just to see the room flourish the way that it has and the camaraderie that's been built is really cool.
Does the fact that you guys didn't pursue anybody in the portal at your position speak to the confidence level you have in this group, even if it isn't a big number in terms of scholarship?
Absolutely. That's the main reason we didn't. We know we have a lot of young talent, a lot of guys that are really hungry, that play with chips on their shoulder, that know they have a lot to prove, not to anybody outside the program, but really to themselves and this team.
As far as Tyrion goes, similar to the question about Dylan, what have you just seen from him, and where are you thinking kind of his strides have been in camp?
One thing that our tight end coach has brought up is competitive maturity, and his competitive maturity when he makes a mistake, his ability to bounce back. He's put weight on. He's playing with a lot more physicality. He's gotten really good at pass protection himself. He's a mismatch when we get him split out, being able to run routes. He catches the ball very naturally, so I'm proud of how he's developed as well.
You talked about your own confidence in the room and obviously confidence in the guys, but how does it also speak to the culture? Because I feel like as much as any position, when Darian makes a play, Dylan, everybody's running out, kind of following each other, supporting each other. What does that mean to you?
I think, a lot of that starts with our head coach preaching the culture and these guys buying into it. Then it trickles down to our offensive coordinator. He's done an unbelievable job with creating and building unity inside of the offense and continuity. It's like I said, man, it's really, really cool. It's really special. Anytime one of those guys make a play, most of the offense is running down trying to celebrate, even though they got to get back in there and run a couple more plays as they're gassed running down. So, no, it's like I said, like I've been saying, it's really, really cool. It's really special to be a part of.
Between those three backs, has anyone kind of start to separate themselves? I mean, where, in terms of, how the pecking order might play out?
It's an open competition. Like I said, they feed off each other so well. All three of them are going to play for sure. You got Gideon who's going to play as well. So we'll see when we get to game day.
What's kind of stood out to you about Kate this fall camp?
His leadership. Obviously you guys all know how special of a player he is, but what he's been able to do inside of our room, it starts with him, and he's done a really good job of continuing to grow in that leadership role and kind of take charge of the room.
How do you strike that balance in determining, obviously it is based on competition, but a year ago, for example, you guys shortened the rotation, so there were two backs. Do you have a preference? Would you like it to be a couple guys so they can get in the rotation?
Well, as the running back coach, you want to play everybody, right? It's a difficult position because more times than not, you're going to have one guy on the field. But like I said, those guys have made my job a lot easier. Getting up out of bed is really, really easy to go to that room with all those guys that are very competitive and play hard. And I know for an absolute fact, whoever's on the field, that every running back and everybody on offense is going to be behind that tailback that's in the game.
This might be a silly question, but when you guys do 11-on-11 or even in Skelly, your guys run all the way to the sideline before joining you guys as the running backs. Where does that come from? Is that something you guys started in your room?
No. When you finish a play, you're supposed to run off the sideline. So once you run off the sideline, you come back and I'll give them the coaching points.
Today, it seems like the run game for the team's coming together pretty well. What are you seeing in that regard, and what do you think has kind of been key to making it look like it's things are coming together?
And big boys up front. We got a heck of an offensive line, man, and they strain, they play hard, they play with a lot of physicality, and Coach Boz has done an unbelievable job with that room. The leaders in that room, they all come to play every single day, and they want to play physical football. They believe in the brand.
Coach, we've seen several guys in the running back room initiate contact or not shy away from it. Is that something that needs to be coached into them, or is that sort of their natural inclination?
I think it starts with the guys that you recruit. You want to recruit tough guys, and that's one of the biggest attributes that I look for when I'm watching and evaluating the tape. And again, it's our culture. We're tough, nasty, and disciplined, and we got to play that type of way, and we got to play that type of football. And we're going to be a team that wants to run the football. So if you're going to run the football, you got to make sure you're imposing your will on your opponents.
Was that some of what you saw from Dylan on film when you were recruiting him? What were the things that really stood out that made you think this guy has a chance to be special?
He's a special player, man. He's fast, he's explosive, he's decisive, and he's a tough downhill runner.
You mentioned decisive, and Coach Grimes has as well, about like that being so important as a running back. Is that something that you have to teach more, or is that something that guys have to kind of learn as they get closer to the college level?
I think it's both. I think it starts with how they're reading whatever run play that you're running and their ability to make really good decisions very fast and very consistently.
So just recruiting within this new type of scheme, just how are you able to sell this, the position it's in this scheme compared to maybe the last couple of years?
We're going to run the football.